Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Pitafi. Viewers, today will be remembered as the day when India's imagination died. I'm saying it because usually democracies are supposed to have some kind of imagination and they are supposed to be creative. But it seems that under Narendra Modi's government, India does not even show the normal rationality needed for any state to operate. Remember one thing, it is said that states are usually very rational in their behavior, in their policy and in their outlook as well. But since the elections are coming and Narendra Modi didn't see his victory, didn't have his victory in sight, we saw this war hysteria taking over his country. And then, of course, you have heard what happened early in the morning. And after that, you must have seen Indian media as well doing the splits, going totally bonkers. The question at this moment is one, it is not about the conventional parity. We know that India and Pakistan don't have conventional parity. And that's precisely why Pakistan had to go nuclear. But there is also the concept of mutual assured destruction. And that ideology, that doctrine actually came out of the Cold War when the two parties, America and Russia, were not geographically that contiguous. We are sitting next to each other. So the point then is that whether any country is going to push the MAD doctrine, whether anybody going to try to create an environment where it might lead to nuclear escalation. And there it seems that India has not quite acted as a rational actor. And now Pakistan has already said, you have seen the National Security Committee's meeting today, you have seen the Foreign Minister's talk, you have seen the DGISPR's talk. Pakistan reserves the right to strike back at a time of its own choosing. The point now is, will you tolerate a leader in the world's so-called democracy, largest democracy, where which country or the leader doesn't mind fighting a nuclear war or actually escalating to that level just to win elections? We are going to talk about policy, we are going to talk about what happened, we are going to talk about what may happen in coming days in order to help us understand these issues. Two guests have joined me in the studio. The third guest, I'm told, is on her way. The moment she comes, I'm going to introduce her. But at this moment, I have with me Rana Iradat Sharif Khan Sahab, MNA of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Imtiaz Gul Sahab, a senior defense analyst, one of the senior most journalists I've known and a friend also. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. And I have to start with you, Iradat Sahab. Today we saw Parliament and everybody seemed to be uniting behind the government. What exactly is going to happen tomorrow when we have a joint session of the Parliament?
First of all, I would like to say that there is no politics on national security. So right. Whenever there is a question of national security, you will always see all political parties across the political divide and ideology on the same page. So that is what has happened today and that is what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Parliament, the joint session of the Parliament, all political parties represented, every spectrum of the political ideology in Pakistan will give strength to the government and the armed forces for the sake of national security. So tomorrow, inshallah, you will see a government giving a comprehensive response and official policy statement in the Parliament, and then you'll see intent of support from the opposition parties as well as the allies of the government. So tomorrow will be a day of unity, tomorrow will be a day of strength, and tomorrow will be a day of hope for the people of Pakistan.
Right. Imtiaz Gul Sahab, your opening statement as well, sir. Please go ahead.
Well, I think we should thank the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for having acted as a unifier. You know, we have been through very turbulent political situation and a lot of political polarization we have seen in the recent weeks. But I was very pleased to hear the number of speeches that we saw in the
Parliament
National
of
Assembly, in which almost everybody was, I think, singing the same song, and that song was of national unity and defense of Pakistan. So I think it was we owe this to Mr. Modi, to RSS, to BJP, that they have provided a cause for all Pakistanis to join hands
together
and stay united.
Right. So what happens now?
Well, I wish we had a crystal ball to see what could happen next. But one would hope that we, despite having given a very categorical commitment of befitting reply, that the government and the military basically are more calculated, more careful in addressing the issues of future. The future, I think, is much more important for Pakistan, its people, than fulfilling our commitment of a befitting reply. So we should really be more calculated and think of the economy, how to preserve the economy, because what India has done, that jeopardizes, can jeopardize the national economy. It can play havoc with the stock markets.
Ours or theirs?
This is both. So, but we are more vulnerable, I guess, just because it's a smaller economy and it's at the moment going through some turbulence. So I think the best thing for us is to proactively engage at the highest level with world leaders, from the United States to China, Russia, and I think therein lies our long-term advantages as well as interests.
Right. While you were talking to me, a third guest has joined us, Kamal Shazab Sahaba, who is an MNA of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the ruling party. She is also the parliamentary secretary of representing the government. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. We are talking about the reaction or response to India's escalation. What is your take?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much. I'm Parliamentary Secretary for Planning, Development and Reform. I wanted to...
So plan ahead and tell us what exactly is going to happen.
I think the planners have planned well, and today's response was much mature from the government benches, from the opposition benches, and from the security, all the agencies, everybody is on board. That's the best message. I think the entire Pakistani nation is standing behind our leaders, our army, and I think whatever the motives Indian had, obviously Modi is behind it, and everything is happening is a reaction to what happened
in Pulwama, or actually
not
their own
exactly.
election.
It was I would always say that's the 9/11 of India, a stage drama which was created. Probably their own people from their own opposition parties, even the social leaders are making these statements.
Raj Thackeray has actually said that Ajit Doval might have some clue what exactly happened at Pulwama.
Actually, it makes sense, because if we talk in the perspective of Pulwama, of how it happened, so if they put all the blame on Pakistan, then actually they are accepting their defeat. The defeat of the lapse of their intelligence.
And it is quite an amazing intelligence, by the way. Let me refresh the memory of anybody who has been watching India's claims today. They claim that today's surgical strike was actually an intelligence-based strike. So they knew what is going on 40 kilometers inside Pakistan, but they couldn't see what was happening in their own controlled Kashmir.
I have my doubts on their intelligence. Let's suppose if...
Literally so.
If for one moment we accept this argument that, let's say that Pakistan was behind that attack, then India itself is accepting the lapse of severe intelligence, the capability of their army, the same army on which they are, they are relying on, and this warmongering is,
it has been going on for quite some time.
So I think they should be well aware that if the same intelligence and the same army is going to fight with Pakistan, then I think they have already accepted their defeat. So coming back to today's event, First of all, the tall claims which have been made by Indians, their nonsense media. I think the word nonsense fits with the media, because the way they are directing and the way they are projecting the entire episode is, you know, it seems as if it's a child play going on. The way they are,
a huge country, a huge economy, a huge population needs a smaller country, baiting of a small country to actually come together. And that should be a reflection on what quality of democracy India is.
I was listening to the press conference of DG ISPR, and according to Indian media and Indians, first of all, their defense minister was clueless what happened today. The first reaction from the defense minister was, you know, I don't know what happened, really? Again, when they say 350 terrorists are being killed by the same this
attack
as a result of the attack, where are these 350 dead bodies? Where are the camps? For God's sake, you have just, you know, damaged 3 of our trees, and then you are making tall claims.
This is what I was going to say. There certainly were casualties. 3 trees were martyred as a result, and that is important. But
we stand behind our martyred trees,
right?
And we'll give answer for these 3 trees.
That is true. Rana Sahab, I'm going to come to you, but allow me to go back to Imtiaz Gul Sahab. Sir, when you talk about reaction of Indian leadership, last time they claimed there was a surgical strike. The army was telling us what happened, right? This time, Foreign Secretary comes to takes the podium, and yet we haven't heard a word from the Air Force, the Army, or any other leadership of the sort. What exactly is going on?
I think they have a different system where the entire armed forces are sort of really subordinate to the civilians.
Yeah, but they made a statement last time when they claimed there was a surgical strike.
Well, I think we should not really go into this nitty-gritty. I mean, there's probably they just wanted to underscore their achievement. Their achievement through a civilian defense secretary, and I think we shouldn't actually nitpick in this. Just because they have a longer tradition, and
why not?
They, as a government, probably they decided, you know, because Narendra Modi had already announced a day after the Pulwama attack that he has already granted the authority to the armed forces to do whatever they want at the time of their choosing.
Yeah, but it is quite interesting because, Rana Sahab, we keep on talking about civil-military relationship in this country. It seems that ever since Narendra Modi has come in India, their secularism, their democracy, their connection with the federating units, everything seems to be collapsing. Their relations with their minority as well. Perhaps there can be a talk about civil-military disparity there as well, because it seems that now Narendra Modi is not only representing the Indian state, he is also representing RSS. That says that your army takes 6 months to actually induct a soldier. We can do it in 3 days. So Pakistan might be the enemy in exile. It is RSS which is enemy in the residence. Is it not true?
Actually, it's quite very true, because Indian society claims to be enrolled in a secular fabric, but the presence of Narendra Modi in PM office is actually shedding away that so-called fabrics, because the fabric was never there in the first place. And secondly, if you look at the mindset, how the rise of Narendra Modi, after becoming Chief Minister of Gujarat, he had a very slim majority in Gujarat. And then there were a genocide in Gujarat of Muslims, and then Narendra Modi went to win away 3 consecutive elections. And then that eventually catapulted him to the prime ministerial chair. And then if you see the pattern of attacks in past 3 years, you will see every time an attack happened in India, there was a follow-up by an election in a key Indian state, Haryana, Gujarat, UP, and then BJP made significant gains in those elections. And even today, after the Uri attack, there was a pause in attacks, and then BJP lost in 2 Hindi belt states. And now, if you see the dynamics of the Hindi belt states in India, UP, Chhattisgarh, and MP, you will see the BJP is about to be routed. Or was about to be routed. In UP there was
and now they are going to win.
I cannot say, but the real surgical strike was not in Pakistan, but it was on the Indian voters, because seeing the reactions in India, I think the government has managed to incite jingoism and war hysteria to win the elections. I am not sure what will happen because you cannot see in future, but
that point has been made by Gul Sahab as well, that we don't have a crystal ball, but we can make, assess what might happen. It is not like Uri. When you claimed that there was a surgical strike, this time you have violated our territorial sovereignty.
Yes.
And after that, it is incumbent on Pakistan to respond. It can be restrained also, but we can respond, right? You have given us the carte blanche. What happens if Pakistan decides to respond? How is it going to help Narendra Modi in the election time?
Well, it depends on the response, and it will eventually, any response will unite India, just like the response has united Pakistan.
Yeah, but perhaps not behind Narendra Modi.
Yeah, because Narendra Modi came into power, that they used to say that Congress is weak on Pakistan, it is weak on national security, and I am the gangster in the region. Because the way Narendra Modi has been behaving, the only other precedent is Benjamin Netanyahu.
Okay.
He, just before the Israeli elections, he was supposed to lose.
He is up for election as well.
Yes, he discarded the idea of two-state system. So then he won the election, and then he said, okay, two-state system is back on the card between Palestine and Israel. So Narendra Modi is doing all he can and will do everything he can. He will incite hatred against minorities. He will incite hatred against other political parties. He will destroy the fabric of Indian society just to win the election. And you can see more such things internally.
So are you telling me that the best surgical strike that we can have is to let him win? Because he will be the end of Indian Federation.
Yeah, but he is the enemy of regional peace. Okay. We cannot let our neighbor, obviously it's the decision of India's people, but Narendra Modi ruling India is not in global interest. It is not in...
Hey, if I'm going to commit suicide, how are you going to stop me?
We cannot stop you, but we need...
I mean, India is bound to commit suicide.
That is that you do not know for sure, because right now, the political situation is not looking that good for BJP. And
even now?
Even now. You just look at the precedent. In 1999, BJP government did not have a majority, and then after the Kargil incident, they called an election, and BJP, the NDA came back with the majority. So that is how the history is repeating itself. But I think by now, Indian voters are clever enough to make a decision, and they will obviously reject BJP.
Right. Do you agree with Rana Sahab?
Yeah, so far he's making sense, because voting for Modi is committing a suicide, and as you stated, such a degeneration and deterioration of democracy in India.
It is a country that we used to look up to.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah, it's pathetic to see Modi, how he's playing, and the dirty politics, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The dirty politics and democracy, the degeneration of democracy in India, the so-called incredible India, the liberal India. And now if again they are going to vote for India, we don't need our forces. We don't have to spend so much on our armed forces.
So who's going to tell it to the people of Pakistan? We don't need to do anything. They have actually filled their own body with so much poison that they are going to
he is already,
collapse.
Modi right now is losing in 5 districts.
Yeah.
As long as their election commission is going to announce, probably in the first week of March, they are going to announce for the election schedule. I think this...
5 districts or 5 states?
I think 5 districts I've heard.
5 states.
Okay.
5 states, yes. Yeah. But the thing is, Modi has taken India to that point from where I think there's no coming back right now. I can't see. If BJP gets elected again, I'll say, alas, there was India. There was incredible India, probably sometimes on the...
Yeah, I told one of the tourism secretary of India as well, when they coined the term incredible India. I told them that it means, literally means, not credible. But they didn't listen to me.
I would say, for the best interest of this region, we were looking forward to have good relationship with India. Probably a peaceful relationship on where we can focus on our poor nation, and we can spend more money.
The poor of the nation, not poor nation. Yeah.
But this Modi mindset is prevailing so badly within the society. Now you can see, as he stated, the fabric of the society is badly already destroyed.
Yeah, it is. But here's the question. Now, to what extent are you ready to go to avenge what happened today?
You know, today's action from the military, from the executive, from the civilian government, I think they have dealt it very maturely, and we have not given this chance to Indian nation to, you know, be united on one point agenda of Modi, and we did not fall prey of this trap.
That is true, ma'am. Let me. I'm interrupting because I'm told Dr. Faisal, the spokesman and the DG of South Asia Foreign Office, is with us. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for joining us. Sir, what exactly should we be expecting tomorrow, day after tomorrow? How is the decision making going to unfold?
As you have seen since this morning, we consider this a grave violation of our sovereignty and a clear act of aggression. This is also a violation of the UN Charter. Of course, as has been clearly stated, Pakistan will respond at a time and place of our choosing.
Right.
This was not our first choice. After Pulwama, we had clearly indicated, and even the Prime Minister had said, that if you have any actionable intelligence, please do share it with us, and we will initiate action. But nothing was shared, and finger pointing and blame game, and then very belligerent statements came out, and now this has happened. They're claiming that 300 people have died in the area. So if 300 burials are going to happen tomorrow or today, that can't be hidden. And you will see that once the Indian lie unfolds from tomorrow, there will be further hysteria, even within India, because no such thing has happened. 300 or 350 people, they claim, have died. Pakistan will respond accordingly. Our first choice, of course, remains peace. We want to live in peace in our neighborhood. However, if action or belligerence or war is thrust upon us, we will not be found lacking.
Right. Dr. Saab, what happens on the diplomatic front now? You have told us that it is a violation of UN Charter. So how exactly do you plan, or does the Foreign Office plan to actually take up this issue with various stakeholders abroad?
We have already taken it up with the UN Security Council. A letter has been written by the Foreign Minister to the President of UN Security Council, and a letter and a copy has been sent to the UN Secretary General. Both of them have the letter, which highlights the Indian actions, and that they are a violation of UN Charter and international law. Additionally, we would be, the Foreign Minister has briefed the diplomatic corps based in Islamabad today at 7:30, and briefed them about the events and about our reaction and about how we have been highlighting especially over the last 2.5 years, that the grave human rights violations occurring in Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir have to stop. But no heed was paid to it, and now it has come to this, the current states. Tomorrow also...
right, sir. Dr. Saab, we are told that Deputy High Commissioner, Indian Deputy High Commissioner was called to the Foreign Office. What exactly is development there, sir?
We lodged a strong protest with the Indians. That is how we started the diplomatic offensive. The Deputy High Commissioner is nowadays he is the acting High Commissioner. So he was called in. Otherwise, the High Commissioner would have been, but he is acting in his place. So he was called in, and a strong démarche was made. He was informed that Pakistan has no tolerance for such acts, and if they had any evidence, they should have shared that evidence with Pakistan so that investigation could be carried out. We have also told them that they are in violation of the UN Charter and all international laws, and also many bilateral agreements. Let's see now how it goes.
Right. Dr. Faisal, thank you very much for joining us. Let me come back to the studio. You have listened to, Gul Sahab, you have listened to the Foreign Office spokesman as well. But what are our options when it comes to diplomatic front?
We don't have any option other than to just
agitate the matter?
Continue agitating the matter at the United Nations, but more so I think much more important would be to cultivate relations with the top leaders like President Trump, Xi Jinping of China, Putin, and all those people who matter at the United Nations Security Council.
Sir.
Because even if you convene an OIC session and there Pakistan makes a presentation, so of what good is the OIC? It's a club of dead horses, just a chat club and nothing more than that.
But
and
it is a chat club that has invited the India's foreign minister.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, that this is so much for the importance of this club that a non-Muslim country's representative is being invited to the
especially a country that is involved in aggression.
Involved in aggression against a member country. Exactly. And also
so can we invite
a country, also a country in massive, involved in massive human rights violations in Kashmir itself. Okay. So I don't see much point in all these conferences. United Nations maybe because it is a bigger forum, but more so the Security Council, and we really have to expose the contradictions in the Indian policies, the loopholes in the Indian narrative, and as well as the Indian narrative on the surgical strikes or whatever they did today. Okay. And I think there are not many other options. We also have to be very mindful of the possible impact on the economy of any escalation of tensions with India. So it's easier said than done to say that we should retaliate. We should. I mean, I saw this on Twitter, on Facebook.
And everybody you meet on the street.
Yeah, they say we should retaliate, but the people on the street would be the first to suffer the consequences of that retaliation.
That might be true, sir, but they are very driven at this moment when you meet them.
But people don't drive governments. Governments do guide the countries and the people.
Yeah, we are talking about democracy, sir.
Yeah, democracy doesn't mean that you walk into death.
Okay.
You don't walk into death traps. The democracy doesn't make you into a suicide bomber.
Right.
So democracy also basically elects the people who then represent the collective wisdom, but it does not necessarily mean that what a vendor, what a shopkeeper on the street is saying, the government should do that.
Imtiaz Gul Sahab, on diplomatic front, there might be limited options. So what are our options otherwise?
You can't declare war on India.
Okay. So what can we do?
The only option is to stay engaged and be calculated and also be vigilant. Perhaps we should also concede that even if there was this violation by the Indian aircraft, we knew this is happening, so it shouldn't have happened, if you allow me to say this.
No,
because this is, and also
so in South Asia, I love this argument that we keep on debating the past, not the future.
No.
So we cannot change what happened yesterday or early in the morning.
I was speaking of the past in relation to what we can do in future.
Right.
That what has happened shouldn't have happened. This should be a lesson for the future. And also we need to introspect a little bit. Not a single country in the world has condemned the violation by the Indian aircraft today of the Pakistani territory.
You're talking about this world which took its sweet time in condemning Pulwama as well.
Yeah, so we really have to, that's what I'm saying, our options are very limited, and we really have to be very smart and intelligent in charting the future path.
You said that OIC is not relevant because they invited Sushma Swaraj.
I didn't say it only because of Sushma Swaraj. I said it's a dead club, club of the dead.
Can we someday ask them to invite Benjamin Netanyahu there as well?
Yeah, why
Maybe
not?
that will work.
Probably he would be the next on call.
Why not us asking them to invite him? But do you agree with Imtiaz Gul Sahab? We don't have that many options?
We actually do have a lot of options because India has provided us an ideal opportunity to highlight the Kashmir issue internationally, because usually the Indian strategy is to put Kashmir issue on the side track and focus on other issues, but the international concern on the heightening tensions has provided Pakistan an issue to raise the Kashmir issue. So because the key, actually the root of all issues is the Kashmir issue, the Indian operation and brutality and genocide in Kashmir. So Pakistan should use this opportunity given by Mr. Modi to highlight the Kashmir issue, which will actually negate Mr. Modi and create more problems for India. And as far as OIC...
And what happens to the territorial violation of territorial integrity?
That must be responded, because...
How? In kind?
In kind, because if you don't respond today, tomorrow there may be an actual surgical strike, because the Indian propaganda, which they
keep on inhaling the propaganda and incrementally it
yes,
keeps
and
on
they actually, if we
growing.
don't respond to this propaganda, they actually might one day start thinking of doing something actually real, which is the possibility of which is very remote, because while we may not have conventional parity with India, we do have a convention deterrent. So if Indian launch a ground invasion on any kind, we have a defensive capability of repulsing anything of that kind, and we will respond in kind. So I think there must be a befitting response, because we need to set a precedent and give them a shut-up call, because else it will start giving them, encouraging them that Pakistan is not going to do anything.
It is a fascinating idea. I have two people totally disagreeing on how to respond. Kamal, what is your take?
I'll take the middle line.
Okay, what exactly is that?
You know, there are three types of responses which can be made: kinetic, diplomatic, and informational. So right now we are doing the informational response, and I think
India has incredible smart power.
Yes, but you know, why India has succeeded so far? Not today, but up till now. It's their lobby, their effective lobby with the world, and we have failed. In past, our governments have never focused on doing their lobbies. The more lobby we have, the more successful we could have been today.
But once again,
luckily today we are not
the
isolated. We are not isolated, and thanks to the present, I would say, the foreign policy right now, and the CPAC, the broadening of CPAC, now the world has interest. When the world has interest in your region, other than the strategic interest, using this area as an air base or whatever as a war zone, then you know the countries will stand with you, and that's the strategy which India has used up till now. And as he stated, why they put always Kashmir aside? Why the world was...
here's the problem. He's right. Imtiaz Gul Sahib is right in
pointing
out.
Let me just give me one sentence.
Yeah, please.
Why the world was wearing this blindfold up till now on Kashmir issue? That was because of the strong lobby and of India and the economic interest or the other interest, strategic interest of the world. But now, luckily, the tables have turned, and I think the befitting answer will be if we manage to give answer diplomatically. If we could win more lobbies, we could have internationally more lobbies giving pressure and exposing India more.
With due respect, whenever there is a conflict, any kind of conflict, usually the first knee-jerk reaction is UNSC actually meets and they discuss that issue. We haven't seen any momentum on that right now. And Imtiaz Gul Sahib is right that I haven't seen that kind of condemnations either. So is it not a cause for concern? How exactly are you going to work the diplomatic side when there seems to be such an apathy?
You know, up till now, our FM, he has already engaged the diplomats which are right now in Pakistan. But I would like to state one very, that's a Punjabi, I want to state, if you allow me, there's this saying, not saying exactly, but in Punjabi you will find it exactly, the context.
Please go ahead.
Maade di mar gayi maa te lenda nahi koi na.
Garib da
Tagde da mar gaya kutta te sara pind nahi sutta.
Yeah, the poor man's mother died and nobody cared. A rich man's dog died and nobody has slept in the village.
Yeah, the reason why I made this statement is, and in the Punjabi context,
I don't want to believe that we are Mare.
we were. We failed to have lobbies. We did not create any lobby. We did not create the economic interest of
Kamal
the world
Sahib,
in our region.
I like introspection, but I don't get, whenever there is such a situation, we go for introspection. But where is the introspection 365 days a year? I mean, shouldn't we be already building something here?
You know, I think I don't agree with what you are saying right now.
What? I'm not saying anything. I'm basically paraphrasing what you are saying.
He's trying to complicate things for you.
Yeah, he is actually complicating the already complicated situation.
No.
Let's be simple.
Are you trying to be the devil's advocate?
No, I'm the angel's advocate.
If we talk about the befitting answer, we are nuclear states. Both of us are nuclear states in the region. And being nuclear state is not a small thing. Giving answer of aggression with aggression will be a story of 2 to 3 minutes, probably.
Okay.
And then, you know, the endless destruction.
Okay.
Being a nuclear head, nuclear states.
No, but
so we
India
have
has
to
carried out whatever it has carried out below the nuclear threshold, right? So can't we do something of the similar sort?
We can.
So?
We can, but for that matter, we have to move intelligently.
He's laughing. He's smiling. Let me ask him.
Let me
What
finish.
do you think?
Let me give my perspective, what you are answering. I would, you know, the entire state was working on it, how to give answer, and the answer has been given by the DG ISPR. He has already announced that we will be deciding what type of answer, time and venue will be decided by us, and now it's going to be our choice how we have to respond to India's aggression or what they have done today. So let's wait and see tomorrow what's coming up.
Yeah, but since you were kind enough to share a Punjabi saying with me, let me also share with you one verse of Faiz Ahmed Faiz. तुम ये कहते हो कि वो जंग हो भी चुकी जिसमें रखा नहीं किसी ने कदम. You say that that war has already ended in which nobody has even taken part. I think this is what concerns me while talking to you and others, that there is this feeling that maybe we cannot do anything.
It's not over as yet. It's just the beginning, I'm telling you.
And I know that.
It's
and
just
we
the
have
beginning.
To position ourselves
and
very
I
carefully.
would say it was a trap which they tried, you know, to create, to just trap us, that we should answer as we used to do, the answer of aggression with aggression.
Okay.
But luckily we haven't.
We have time on our side. Imtiaz Gul Sahib, what were you smiling, laughing at?
No, I'm just hoping that the Indians don't manage to incite us into an aggressive gesture.
Yeah.
Just because it will be destructive. I'm more concerned about the future of the 220 million people. It's
totally
easier. It's very, very easy to demand and to promise a retaliation, an armed retaliation, but coping with the consequences of that retaliation.
And I'm totally with you. Please don't confuse what I'm saying with the sayings of Dr. Strangelove. I know what exactly are the consequences of a nuclear war. What I'm saying is usually...
I'm not talking about even a nuclear war.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk
about any war at all.
Yeah.
But here's the humble submission. Usually there's the concept of state rationality, where a state can get away with certain things, or at least it is thought that if it uses those devices, people will not object. And India seems to be building this rationality incrementally. First, surgical strikes, now air violations. I don't know what happens next. So are we not even going to stop it? That it doesn't happen beyond that?
Well, in the medium to long term, India has, I think, created a justification and basically paved way for preemptive strikes. You know, they are calling it preemptive strike. I think they just copied this concept from the United States, but they forget that the United States is 15,000 kilometers away from all the fronts that the US opened, whether it was Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Syria and Afghanistan. India is just next door. So for us, it's very convenient to launch preemptive strikes, and there will be many occasions and there will be many excuses that Pakistan could deploy, saying that, well, we also launched preemptive strikes. So India has given us this opportunity of invoking this notion of preemptive strikes, and I think we should be thankful again to India.
Right. Rana Sahab, I'm told that we have to conclude the program. Please go ahead with your conclusion.
So in the end, I would like to say that war only creates orphans and widows on both sides of the border, and it only benefits the armed dealers. However, Pakistan is a sovereign nation, and the sovereignty of Pakistan has been violated, and this so-called surgical strike was actually an act of war against Pakistan. It was an act of aggression, and Pakistan government must take steps to ensure that such act doesn't happen again.
Okay.
Yes. So the people of Pakistan, they are behind Pakistan government in the national security, and they are behind the armed forces for the defense of Pakistan. They will do whatever it takes and pay whatever cost it takes for the defense of Pakistan, for the sovereignty and integrity of Pakistan.
Right.
And the political forces, they are united on this issue. Thank you.
Okay. Kamal Sahaba, your conclusion?
I would say that we don't, first of all, we don't want war on
nobody wants here.
Yeah, not in this region of South Asia. We want peace here, and we have fought for 15 years to reclaim the peace in this and stability in this area and in this region. But still, for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Pakistan, we can go to any extent. We are equally capable.
Okay.
They should never be underestimating Pakistan and its capability and the armed forces. So if they are planning to take it forward, then they will have their answers and they will have their surprises.
Right. Although I thought that Imtiaz Gul Sahab, you have said your piece, but please do conclude.
Well, I think we have all concluded that Pakistanis remain united.
Yeah.
However, they should also be very calculated in whatever they decide to do.
Right. It shouldn't be impulsive.
It shouldn't be impulsive.
Right.
It should be very, very measured way forward. And I think the world will appreciate us for not initiating any armed hostility.
Right. On that note, I have to conclude the program. Imtiaz Gul Sahab, thank you very much for your time. Rana Iradat Sharif Sahab, thank you very much for your time as well. Kaval Shazab, thank you very much for being here as well. Yes, can you hear this noise right now that I can hear? It is called silence. And it is the kind of silence you hear when something wrong happens and the conscientious people don't speak. This is exactly what happened in the Middle East. This is what happened elsewhere in the world. And that shows you that all those countries that talk about democracy, international law, international principle, they can be very silent when the situation doesn't suit them. What happened today early in the morning is really a blot on the conscience of the world, because your international law was broken. Your international charter, UN charter, was actually violated. But if I don't hear the kind of voices that are needed to condemn it, I'm going to give up my faith in international justice, and of course, perhaps also in humanity. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.